have no idea if anyone else has this issue, but like, Preston has managed to pick it up somehow. I don't know how, but he's been sniffing some stuff out and he's noticed that it's not like the others. And then I kind of see like where he's sniffing, and it matches to like the fact that he's like sniffing out some diseases. Good thing that he doesn't actually get infected with it because he's not human. So their immune systems and their bodies and the bacteria and all that kind of stuff is different, not only because of the food that they eat, but because of the nutrients that it requires to, I think, be a dog versus be a human. I keep seeing these images of like microscopic bacteria and viruses, and it matches literally to the textbook of what it looks like when people, my fingernails are dirty, you see it in like the textbooks of like studying bacteria and stuff, and it's been freaking me out. I'm like, what the fuck? I can tell when people have coronavirus, I just stay away. It looks exactly like HIV virus. Like the microscopic imaging skin. I'm like, when I saw the HIV virus microscopic pictures, and I'm like, that was what coronavirus looks like. And I was like, I'm thinking like, is it just like a virulent strain of HIV that's being spread and people are just saying it's like a flu? That's weird. I mean, there's very few viruses that look like the robot viruses. I thought that's what they looked like before. I thought the viruses, because it looks like bacteria, I thought it was bacteria. It wasn't bacteria, it was virus. And I was like, what the fuck? It's fucked up. The shelter staff have been intentionally putting people who are willing to infect me near them, and they don't know this, but they're like that to everyone. There was a guy that I met earlier that I was complaining about, and I didn't know it until later, but like he said he just wanted to be normal again. And I didn't know what he meant until I saw I remember what he was like, and he said he wasn't like that before. He did all that stupid stuff, and he went to prison, and he said after that, like, he couldn't be normal, like, it just fucked him up or something, like, his responses were abnormal, and he says there's no doctors in prison. Even if somebody's going through severe psychiatric distress, like, people just ignore them. And I'm like, what? And I read somewhere that, like, in Canada, they actually, in order to cut the budget, or, like, the tax cuts or the budgeting cuts, actually ended up with the prison system. So they actually cut the budget for the prisons. Not for the homeless shelters, not for the education, not for anything else. It was just the prison system. And I was like, doesn't that mean, like, there's less prisons there, and the people are, like, less willing to send them into prison, or the prisons are overcrowded or something? I feel, I don't know. But yeah, it's been freaking me out. Like, I saw it. Like, I literally saw the image of the virus, like, and I was like, what the fuck? And some people have been trying to tell me that, there's people's Instagrams that I found, and they're like, those are dead accounts. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're literally dead, like, the user is dead. Like, they're actually posting pictures of themselves, like, pictures of the guy to make it look like he didn't die or something. Like, somebody actually is hacking into account and posting Photoshop pictures or something, and I'm like, really? I didn't believe them. I'm like, people don't do that, do they? And then they're like trying to ask me, like, when was the last time you actually talked to these people? Like, in person or over the phone? And I'm like, but why would anybody want to make them look like they're alive when they're dead? That's just weird. But that's what they're saying. That's what they're telling me. They're like, yeah, those guys are actually dead. They've just been photoshopping pictures and how access like old photos from their hard drive to post on their Instagram to make it look like they're still active. And I'm like, that's crazy. How would anybody do that? But anyway, yeah, the viruses, currently there's a new one going around in the city. I don't know what it is. It looks like a hairy ball. Like, if anybody's seen the physics problem of the hairy ball problem, like, it's like so there's this, like, the hairy sphere problem is in physics. It's like a theory saying you can't actually make all the hairs go in one direction. It goes all in opposite directions, like, or like it goes in one direction, the other part ends up going in the opposite way, and you can't smooth down the hairy ball into like just one uniform shape. That's impossible physically. That's the theory of the hairy ball theorem. It looks exactly like that, like the hairy ball thing. Except there's no hairs on the going down or anything. Everything's just sticking up. And I've been trying to Google it, and the closest thing I can Google it to is the herpes virus or the bird flu virus. It looks kind of similar to that. I have no idea what it is. Apparently, it can move around or something. I'm beginning to suspect that the police are all infected with it. I don't know how they even got the disease. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I can't even find any images. I thought it was an STI. It wasn't. The thing I've noticed about STIs is that they all have the same spherical structure. Like, it's just kind of like a malleable ball looking thing. It's weird. Also, like, I've been trying to avoid STIs. There's a guy named Eric Romaldi who lives in the shelters, and he has herpes. And some of the people have herpes too, and I didn't know how badly it progressed. And I'm like, why? If you have herpes, why don't you just take medication for it? And yeah, I remember I had a family doctor who told me that there's actually no medications to effectively get rid of herpes virus, but you can take antivirals if the symptoms start to flare up, and it should reduce the symptoms. And I'm like, really? And that's what she said. And I'm like, and then I got tested by another doctor who told me that I actually don't have herpes. I got tested positive for herpes type 1, simplex 1, the cold sore herpes. And she's like, yeah, you can actually get rid of it. You know what? I'll give you antivirals. If it ever flares up, just tell me and I'll write a prescript for it. And I was like, okay. And then I got tested by a different doctor years later. She told me that I actually didn't test positive for any of the herpes. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, if you need antivirals, I can give you a prescription right now. But currently the tests are showing it to be negative. You don't test positive for herpes. And I was like, what? And I was like really shocked. And I was like, well, herpes virus grows away. And I'm like, and then it got me to thinking, like, viruses are like things that go away, like colds go away, flus go away, like the body can fight it off. And I guess like that's possible, right, to fight off the infection. But I'm like, and I've actually seen people who has progressive herpes, and it's like, how come their body's not fighting it off? Like, it gets really bad. Like, their sores start coming out of different areas of their body, and it affects their like corneas and their retinas and everything. And it's like, it looks disgusting. Like, it just is nasty. And honestly, I'm like, oh my god. Eee. But yeah, I was like really, I was freaking out even more when I saw the Preston was sniffing the ground, and it was disgusting. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, he was sniffing it. There was nothing on the ground, but I saw like a reflection of like a trail of green, like deep green stuff. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And he was sniffing on the ground, and he was sniffing out diseases. And when I was sitting on the seats on the TTC, he was actually sniffing up the seats, and then he's trying to tell me that there's diseases here too. And I was like, you can smell that? That's amazing. Also, he was sniffing out some crack in the city. Yeah, he says like it's coming from the crack users or something. And I was like, I was right about the cops being on crack, wasn't I? And then he like covers his nose when there's like too much crack smells, and I can't smell it. He says he can't smell it. Preston, it bothers Preston a lot, but I can't smell it. It's weird. I can smell it when they're actually literally lighting it up and smoking it. It's just like, it smells weird. It smells like burning plastic. And I was like, ooh, what is that? Anyway, I'm like literally freaking out because I'm like, okay, this is like getting weirder and weirder by the day. I saw a Snapchat screenshot of Vietnam calling off the COVID virus stuff. And I was like, oh, at least it's getting better, right? But it hasn't been getting better here. Apparently, like, they're planning on like releasing the ban at like the 4th of May or something. I have no idea. My feet are cracked, sore of Preston's. And I'm like, they're numb and sore, and I like don't really want to move that much. And I'm like doing my best to avoid the shelters just because like they want me to get infected with some sort of disease. I don't know why. Like, they just don't want me to be healthy, and I'm like, the fuck is your problem? They refuse to serve actual healthy functioning people. They only want to cater to completely disabled or never gonna get better people. But I'm like, that makes no sense to me. Like, why is that like that? And like a bunch of white supremacists were like getting mad at me or something, and I'm like, why are you mad? Like, well, okay, that's a stupid question. They're always mad, but like, I don't even know you. But like, it's because they're white. Like, there's just something wrong with them because they're white and they're living in America. They should do a documentary on that, White in America, called Wow. So they do wow, wow, wow. Yeah. Yeah, White in America. Or being white in America. Bwah. That's how Centipede sounds like. Bwah. And that was a theme music for Lost. Bwah, bwah. It all coming together. Oh my god, it's like connecting the dots with the. I feel like those crazy conspiracy theorist thing that people portray on television, and they have like a map and like a bunch of pictures, and they have like all those like thumbtacks and like a red string that attaches to all of it, and they're like trying to figure out, okay, so who's a murderer? And I was like, oh my god. Yeah. Currently, no idea when a shelter space will be available. I am planning on living on the streets for the next 4 years until they give me a place for subsidized housing. I was wondering if my like welfare money is gonna run out, and I'm not really sure if it's going to. Just because apparently it's for people who actually. They say they do take people off welfare, but there's people who are on it for for a very long time, for like a decade, and I was like, yeah, I don't get that. And they're like, it honestly has to do with like how willing you are to find a job. I'm like, I don't know what that means. But yeah, I'm not really worried about that either. I'm just more worried about like, I guess this is fucking weird. So many people are diseased, and I don't know what these diseases are, and I can't even go see a doctor because a lot of them aren't actual doctors. Yeah. There were a bunch of people who were trying to sell me meth, and there was an actor guy who he was like a guest star in a lot of TV shows, and he was like trying to sell me meth, saying like it makes you feel really high, it makes you feel really good, and you can even take it on a plane, they can't even detect it. And I was like, this sounds like the airplane is actually selling meth. Like, is this what you're telling me? I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, but like they're like saying that's what they were saying. They were trying to sell me meth, and I was like, I think that's why a lot of dealers and stuff were upset, because they were planning on selling me meth. And they're like, yeah, this is how much, because other shelter residents told them about me. They don't actually know me, but they assumed that they could sell me meth. And that's what they were doing, was like trying to instigate like so much problems in me so that I will end up having to smoke meth or do meth. And I'll get into harder drugs, and I'll end up sucking dick for the money for meth, or like I'll end up like, doing favors for drug dealers for meth, or like using up all my OW money from meth or something like that. And I'm like, why would I do those things? It's insane. But like they didn't get that, and now everyone's like really pissed, and some people are like very angry because they're like, why aren't you on drugs right now? And I'm like, why would I be on drugs? You make it sound like I'm a drug addict. I don't look like a drug addict because I'm not one. But yeah, I was like freaking out. I was like, it's really creepy. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, is this like, why is it so dirty and like weird here? Like, it wasn't like this when I remembered coming here like even 10 years ago. But 10 years ago there was a lot of criminal activity. I got dilapidated after. There was the mayor of Toronto actually got promoted to premier somehow. I have a feeling he's cutting corners. Like, he didn't legitimately get that position. He might have bribed or like took out his competition or like forced his way in there. But I'm like wondering, like, why would anybody do that? It's kind of like the reason you did that means that you don't have enough support, or like people don't agree with your policies. Not enough people agree with your policies to be able to have that job. That means a lot of people disagree with what you're doing, regardless of the fact that you're in that position. And that also means that a lot of Canadians don't agree with the policies that are being enacted by the government. I don't know how they're doing that, and I have a feeling a lot of people in Toronto are following his steps. Like, I get where they're coming from, because that's their leader, right? Like, you're supposed to look up to authority figures for what to do politically. Like, that is the whole point of it. But, like, I feel like they don't understand that a lot of people disagree with that guy, and he didn't get there legitimately, which is why he went there illegitimately, right? Like, his reasoning is like, I need to be in that position. People will follow me, people still listen to me, and there are people who do support me. And the other side is like, yes, you don't have enough supporters for you to be able to hold a position. You're gonna make a lot of people unhappy, which means that a lot of people aren't gonna support you afterwards. And I don't know how he got there, but he did, and I think that's like a bad sign. I didn't know Doug Ford was like hated by most working Canadians. They're supported by a lot of social services or social workers in Canada, but I consider them to be leeches, honestly. The cops support them a lot. Yeah, the cops support Doug Ford. I don't know if other workers who work for private companies support Doug Ford, but the problem is that he's in position and no one's impeaching him or doing anything about it. And I was like, I don't know if that's what, I guess they just want to complain or something. I don't know if that's completely true. I don't know. Yeah, it's bad signs. I hope like things don't get worse. It's pretty bad as it is. Yeah, I think they were trying to like pin the tail on the donkey with this one. Kind of like, oh, like he's completely in the dark about everything, and then like trying to like make it look fun and like maybe like, oh, like we know what we're doing and like get the point of it, even though it doesn't make any sense. Like literally nothing really makes sense. Also, speaking of viruses, how'd they even get here? I mean, I'm assuming that it's like a mutant gene of like some sort of bacteria or fungi mixed together, or like a byproduct of the mutations of bacteria. That's like my biggest like theory. Maybe there's like, I've never taken microbiology, so like I wouldn't know if they actually study that kind of stuff, but like, oh my god. I'm thinking like maybe like, you know, like when bacteria were like unicellular organisms and it had to become multicellular organisms, it had like leftover DNA and or RNA strands. Like it turned into RNA strands, and like it was leftover genetic material that came out of it, and then it kind of like managed to like float around on its own, and it's like because of environment of the unicellular bacteria and the environment that it's in was similar. So it was able to live still, like it wasn't destroyed, and it managed to infect another organism, like such as a fish or like a plant or something. Or like the water that it was in got carried by the wave and it splashed into a tree or whatever, and it got into a living being somehow, and it started to replicate itself. Right? And I think that's how it started, because there's antibodies available for the people, like humans and animals are able to develop antibodies for it, right? So that's what I'm assuming. I don't know if it's true. I don't think, like, that's what I think is from Earth, like, that's what I mean. Like, I think it might be from Earth, maybe. Because I was theorizing, like, what if it came from, like, outside of the planet? Like, from outer space because of the meteors and asteroids like come across the Earth. Like by the time like a meteor reaches Earth, it's so microscopic and small that it's like the biggest it can get is like the size of a small rock. Honestly, it goes boom, and it's like a small rock size. It looks different obviously because it's not from the Earth sediments, right? But I thought like the ones that the humans couldn't develop antibodies for was like that. But then I also thought, like, maybe there's, like, some fucked up people who just wanted to, like, have, like, some dangerous viruses around, because they're, like, playing around with the viruses and see what they can make from, like, replicating it in, like, some sort of controlled environment that is... I don't know. I don't know why anybody would do that, though, and not come up with a cure. That doesn't... Like, it just seems like something intentional and something that somebody intentionally did to like destroy like the rest of the humanity or something. Like, why would anybody do that? Especially if you have the skills to do that. Doesn't make sense. Maybe it's like an alien virus. That's what I think. They came from outer space and they somehow managed to land here, and by luck they got into a human being. Yeah, a lot of people were like, yeah, it's because people are having sex with monkeys, and that's how they got the virus. And I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes so much sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. I want to know who are these group of people who are having sex with monkeys, and how come no scientist has detected any sort of foreign antibodies in the monkeys? Maybe, you know what, it might be plausible because it has a virus inside it and it needs an actual host to live on. If it can live inside a monkey's body, that means the monkey's sick, right? And it'll affect a monkey as much as it'll affect a human. And I'm like, there's no record or research of monkey HIV, so that makes no sense. Yeah, that's the thing with viruses. Like, it just infects the host and it like causes them to die. But during the process, it like wants to spread its viruses to other people. So it just kind of like has the grubby little fingers on everyone. Right? Like, there's a host that's infected. It goes like walks around like a zombie trying to infect as many people as they can because the virus wants to live and spread and stuff. And their goal is to like slowly just like infect everybody, you know, and all the humans will die or something. It seems kind of like, was it the trees? I don't know, I get bad vibes from plants, okay? I don't know if I'm the only one, but like trees may freak me out, and I'm like, they're bad, yo, they're really bad. And it's because it's unhealthy. You know what, I think it's the revenge they're taking because they came out like I think the trees here, like the natural fauna, a lot of it was destroyed by the invaders, which are the British and the French, and they try to plant their own seeds found in their country and their continent and their islands onto America, and it didn't adjust well as time progressed because of the climate, and it couldn't adjust to the climate and the soil changes. Whereas the natural fauna can do that because it's used to living there for so long. Yeah, they like tree. There's a lot of tree with tree rot. Once the tree has tree rot, there's no way of saving it, even if it like doesn't have tree rot everywhere. So like there's parts of it on the bark that has tree rot. There's fungal infections. They deepen the roots and stuff. Like that won't ever get rid of. Like they'll kill the tree, but it never revive it. And it's like such a waste because like you have such a big beautiful like 150-year-old tree and it gets tree rot, and you gotta like dig it up from the ground so it doesn't infect other trees, because the way their roots are like the other funguses feed off of the tree roots, and it actually, that funguses like it like makes like a little network underground, so it's like a big web, and then you just see like a little like mushrooms pop out just like spaced out, but like underground it's like they're all connected somehow. Yeah. Oh, also they can do asexual reproduction, so they don't actually need a partner or like a different female or male gametes, whereas plants actually do. Yeah. Also tree rot, fungal roots reach deep, and if it like ever goes near another tree's roots, they tend to avoid it, but sometimes it actually does contaminate with each other, especially with the fungus like going, you know, like connecting in a web, like it touches other trees' roots and stuff, even though the trees' roots aren't touching directly. I'm thinking maybe like the infection can spread, and it doesn't actually, like the bacteria, it doesn't actually live on the fungus or the mushroom thingy. It doesn't live, like it lives from the trees, and then it just kind of goes all the way to the other tree root, and then it like just infects the other tree root. That's why they have to like pull out the entire tree by the roots, otherwise it's gonna like literally affect everything else. And I was like, yeah, but like the thing is like, how is it getting tree rot and fungal infections? Like that means like the environment is very, very like ripe for them to multiplicate. multiply. Yeah, this is really like it's a good environment for bacteria to grow, and they need arid, moist, and what is it, like cool environments. Like a pantry, but then it's like it's kind of cold, but it's like really moisture in the air, and there's like pockets of the pantry that's like kind of warm from like the air coming, and it's like circulating only inside. It doesn't actually leave. There's no actual ventilation. Yeah, that's where the most bacteria and fungus grow in mold, and then that's where the bugs are attracted to. You know, like cockroaches and fleas and ticks and stuff like that. That's when they like that. That's why during the fall, springtime is when those bugs start showing up, because the weather's kind of like that. Like it's still kind of cool, but then because there's been so much sun, like it's actually, the ground is still cold but the air is warm, and then there's like that temperature gradient, but there's like enough moisture in the air to like support like that kind of like the composition of the metals and like the noble gases and whatever. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. I didn't pay too much attention in chemistry. It was really boring, to be honest. I think it was just boring. Yeah, I don't know. But I was like, oh my god. It's not good. I have to go brush my teeth. I'm really, really freaking out. I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god. But yeah, I think it's because it's not actually from the plant that's natural here. I think they were destroying the natural fauna by taking up the resources, and I think it's like their way of kind of like getting rid of, because they're still living beings. A lot of people forget about that. I think that's like the way of like trying to get rid of like these invaders, or like the people who are taking up the resources. It's like, get rid of all these plants, get rid of all these, like they won't be able to survive it, but they'll be able to survive it kind of stuff. And I was like, I still hold on to the theory that there might be aliens coming to the planet, and they're hiding between the sick people, so that you can't actually notice that they're aliens because they look like other sick people, or like it looks like they're not doing well or something, because they're just trying to hide the fact that they're not human. I was like, what if they're the ones that came here and started doing that weird virus stuff, and they thought it was a joke or something? I don't fucking know. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it was a person who did this. Maybe they didn't mean to do that. I think, and maybe their intentions wasn't to do that, but it just got out of hand one time, and it just kind of spread, and now you're like, oh shit, that kind of stuff.